Tell me
Thank
about
you,
your
Harry.
vision.
Pleasure to be here today. Absolutely. My vision, Harry. And I just want to say, first off, thank you so much for having me. I really respect what you do on this podcast. And I think the message that you guys bring out with Vision Pros is so essential because I think in today's day and age, it's so easy to get caught up in, what everyone else's vision is and get caught up on we are to do because of what we see on social media or on LinkedIn or whatever that may be. There's so many different visions out there, but really what we have to get clear on is what's our purpose, what's our passion, our motivation, and truly boiling that all down to figure out what is our vision. So for me, Harry, my vision from a very young age, due to a couple different circumstances of why I was born after a family member passing away, was that I really wanted to utilize every single day to make a purpose and an impact on whoever I could in this world, even if it just meant one person. And so, in the midst of that, that kind of translated in various different ways. I was a competitive athlete for 20 plus years. You're not really able to make a whole lot of impact that way, but what that journey of mine was able to teach me was a lot of how I'm able to cultivate and hone those skills. That way I could go out into the world and really, really develop and cultivate exactly what I wanted to see. And so my, I would say, corporate journey started when I was 17 years old. And as the years went on, and when I started to get very clear that I wanted to become an entrepreneur and start my own company, I really not only wanted my team and whatever team I were to cultivate, obviously starting small, but my vision for my team is quite large for the future. I really want my team to be one that when they come together, culture is number one, that they feel seen, heard, appreciated, because what you appreciate appreciates. And of course, as you know, Harry, you have a team as well. When we're able to cultivate and hone in their skills and really make sure that they're in the right seat, they're doing the right thing that really, really captivates what their skill set is. I mean, gosh, the sky's the limit for them. And then when they feel like the CEO or the leadership actually appreciates them for what they do, and they're not just a number in the company, everything changes. So beyond that, on the team scale, right now, currently in my business, I was actually in luxury real estate for just over a decade. And what I was able to do through that was actually lead several teams on large developments, both with luxury and commercial and residential developments. And what we were able to do through that, which was so incredible, was to really see the correlation between, you come into a project, let's say, and there's five or six top builders in the city, and then you have a couple developers. Everyone's very talented, everyone's incredible at what they do, but they might not really be on the same page and um, zeroed in on the shared vision of, say, the development. And I worked on one that was a 103 lot subdivision, large dollars coming in and out of that project. Everyone was very good at what they did, but they sometimes didn't always share that same vision. So in the midst of that, I got to learn so much that process, and now has brought me to where I am today. I'm a public speaker, a consultant, trainer, coach, as well as an author. So whether it be my children's book, my vision for that is to really help parents and just loved ones be able to connect with their little ones in terms of grief and loss and what that journey looks like afterwards. And in more of my corporate life, whether it be speaking, training, coaching, my focus and my vision here is more on the resilience and grit aspect of things and how we can help teams, entrepreneurs really scale not only their business, but really hone in how they're able to adapt and modify to the constant change that we live in, and really come back to, how are we able to see the value in ourselves and bring that to our team, and really so do that in the midst of using that gratitude, that resilience, and that grit to do so.
Thank you for sharing that. So this is what I understood from it. Your goal is to help others, and one of the ways you do that is through building your own teams and empowering them.
Absolutely, Harry.
Is
Well
that
said.
is that what you live and breathe by? Is that what you get out of bed every morning for?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Harry.
Yeah, how long have you been doing that?
I would say when I started my, I guess it would have been the end of 2023, I decided to completely hang up my real estate license because that would have been about 10 years in the making for that process, and really step into the public speaking world and the coaching world. Where that kind of came into, Harry, was it was in 2019. This is kind of where the seed was planted. I had made a post on social media, and essentially it was along the lines of talking about my brother's passing. I apologize. talking about my brother's passing, talking about a little bit about my divorce years ago, and just really in the midst of grace and appreciation for what all these parts of my journey have taught me. And it was probably one of my more vulnerable posts. Didn't really expect anything of it. Just hoped that it was help would help one person in the audience gain a different perspective, or perhaps realize that there's always something powerful that can come out of challenging times. And that, as we say, like something about our mess kind of turns into our message in the end of the day. And in the midst of me posting that, it was maybe about half an hour to an hour later, I got a call from one of the directors of the University of British Columbia Okanagan campus. I honestly thought they had the wrong person at first. I'm like, "Are you sure you're trying to contact Francesca?" They're like, "Yes, you're the one we're wanting to contact." They said, "We just read, a couple of our directors just came across your post. We were brought to tears, and there was just something so powerful about it. We want to meet you." And I was dumbfounded because I was like, "Okay, I didn't expect that." They met up with me and they ended up sharing that they were going to be doing this essentially, like, it was called the Gratitude Project. It was this large speaking event raising money for an incredible organization. They had different speakers coming from all over to speak at it. They said, "We want you to be one of our keynote speakers. Everything that you said in this post is exactly embodying the message that we're wanting to bring out, and it's powerful." And of course, I joked with them. I said, "Look, like, I will disappoint you. I am not a public speaker. This is not what I do. Like, trust me, this is not the path I'm meant to go down. I'll disappoint." And they were like, "No, no, trust us. It was all meant to happen." Pardon me. I very quickly asked them, who else is speaking on your panel? And of course, they had a TEDx speaker locally. They had Joshua Duick. He's a Paralympic gold medalist who was actually on the Ellen DeGeneres show. They had this other powerful woman on there. She was featured on Forbes at a time. And I thought, you understand why I'm not meant to be on this particular panel. They're like, "Trust us, Francesca, you're meant to speak." So, of course, 10 days later, I show up, I do my speech. Within a couple minutes of my talk, the whole audience is brought to tears, and something clicked for me, Harry. I was like, maybe this is what I'm meant to do. I felt so at home on that stage, holding the microphone. I know that public speaking is often a fear of most people, but it just felt so, I don't know, familiar, I guess would be the word. And that would have been in November of 2019, kind of the precipice of the rest of my journey, and bringing it to 2023, kind of in that chunk of time, I had been asked to speak on several different stages since that point. And just, even though it wasn't my main focus, it was very clear to me that was going to be a day that I would leave the real estate world and truly help and impact people through this vessel, through this avenue of public speaking and coaching. And so, to say maybe I've been doing this full time now for the last year and a half, I'm grateful for the journey, Harry. Of course, like any business, when you're starting it up, there's momentum that you're building, just like I did in real estate. And what I've gotten very, very clear on is that when you have and not that I didn't make a lot of impact to people's lives in real estate, but there's something so incredible about standing on a stage, sharing something from a vulnerable space or from a place of experience where you can see the ripple effect of how each of these people walk away from, whether it's a talk or a coaching session, and you see the impact that they're making on their lives now, putting certain little micro habits into practice to bring it all back to how can we be better tomorrow than we were today.
Wow, Francesca, thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Um, wow, that's a neat and clean story. I really really like what you shared with us.
Thank you.
What would you say that um, being able to go on the stages and speak and coaching is also something very special. I think people um, don't talk about it either enough, or they talk about it way too less in how necessary it is. Has gone to you, has given you
Mm.
with your vision.
How has public speaking aligned with my vision?
Yeah, public speaking and coaching. I wanna see
Absolutely.
how they fit in together.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, how they fit in together. I mean, on the public speaking realm, Harry, as you know, sometimes we get a call to speak and it's about maybe a topic that we're not familiar with, or
Mhm.
maybe something that we haven't spoke on before. But something is always going to tie back to that core purpose and drive of what we're doing and what our passion is and what we want to help people integrate into their day-to-day lives. And I would say even through the coaching, the speaking is one thing, right? There's a academy that I feel very blessed to be a part of each year, and one of the things that myself, my partner, and many other people get to do is to share whether it's a training, a workshop, or a speech at that academy. That is one thing. And I think that's incredible because you see that everyone well up in tears in the audience are having these shifts. I had one young man who he's used to be in the army, and he had shared with me, one of the things that was so impactful to him was that these are some of the questions that he had never asked himself until sitting in a room like that, where you can be in front of a speaker and kind of go, "Holy crap, I have never thought about these things this way," and that's how you make those fundamental shifts. What I love about coaching here is that we take that seed that's planted, and now we're able to actually work with it. We're actually able to nurture the seed, to water the seed, to put it in the proper sunlight, let them know when it's time to take it out of the sunlight so we can kind of, reduce burnout, all the different things that we know come into play day to day. And I think that's one of the most rewarding aspects of coaching, I find, is that week to week I get to see, okay, how are my coaching students developing these skills? Where do they get stuck? Because as you know, growth is, it's an up and
Yes.
down cycle, right? Like, I mean, some days we feel like we're far ahead, it's two steps forward, one step back. But I would say that's the one of the greater ways I'm able to incorporate coaching into that main vision and how I'm able to sustain that moving forward. And especially with the goals that I have in speaking and coaching, because this is just the start, Harry.
Thank you for being here today. I'm really happy that you tuned in to Vision Pros Live. I'm looking forward to seeing your reactions as these episodes continue to move forward. This is going to get more and more fun. We'll have more and more engagement as well. We'll invite people to participate in the show. And thank you for giving us your time and attention. Have an excellent time building out your vision and becoming a Vision Pro yourself.